Guys, it's Boxing Gossip here. It's a Monday evening. It's about 9:30. Just give me a few seconds. Let's wait for the stream to catch up with me. Here we go, we're live. And I've got a few people in the chat already. I've got Paul, I've got Tom, Mikey, YouTube, Terry, Matt, Angel Blackwell, Ruben, Ida. Hope everyone's doing well. So this is the return of the Monday night live phone-in. So it's the option for people to call in and get on the channel live. Before we do that tonight, you're going to have to let me burn for 15-20 minutes or so, which has become the norm recently. But there's quite a few bits I want to talk about before we get the callers on, because as always seems to be the way in boxing, there's lots of breaking news, and I haven't had an opportunity to make videos today and that sort of thing. So I'm going to burn for about 15-20 minutes, and then when the time comes, I'll let people know that I'm opening up Skype, and we can hopefully get some callers on, which is good. Before we get into it, I'm just going to give a few shout-outs to various different people. First and foremost, I'm going to give a shout-out to Jason Gaverne, because I was lucky enough to do an interview with Jason Gaverne, heavyweight stalwart. Last week, we spoke for best part of half an hour. That interview is up on the channel. It was uploaded 3 or 4 days ago. So it's still there. It's near the top of my recent videos. And yeah, you'll get to see it. But Jason Gaverne is an absolute gentleman of the sport. We discussed his previous career, his future ambitions, some of the big fights he's been in over the years. It was an absolute pleasure speaking to Jason. I learned a lot, so credit goes out to Jason. Secondly, I want to give a big thank you to all the guys who get involved in the podcast. You know, we had best part of 30 people asked to be on the podcast, and I had the headache of narrowing it down to a team of 5, including myself. And I've got to say, I'm really pleased with the group of guys that we've gone with. Shout out to Jet, to Paul, to Tom, and Sherry Abassi, all of whom have been excellent so far. And we're going to keep them involved, and as long as they want to be. And we're going to run Wednesday evenings from 8:30. So huge thanks to all of those guys. Check out Jet's channel, which is the Boxing Discussions channel. And yeah, massively appreciate those 4, real knowledgeable guys, and real nice guys as well. Not just knowledgeable, but top people. Want to give a shout out to someone who's in the chat, Dave Champion. If you like your boxing, check out the Dave Champion channel. Dave's a good guy who I speak to a lot offline. He's helped me out with a few bits off the channel as well. He's got a very good channel indeed. So yeah, check out Dave's channel as well, Dave Champion. So yeah, just wanted to shout out a few people really, because a lot of people have been helping me offline recently, and I don't give enough thanks to people who support the channel and do their bit as well. So really appreciate that. Now let's get into some boxing. And one of the first things I want to talk about is this new Frank Warren. Cheers, Jet. One of the things I want to talk about is this new Frank Warren card, which is headlined by Liam Smith versus, and I've written this down because I'm going to be frank with you, I have not been following this boy since the amateurs. Liam Smith versus Predrag Radosevich. So if I've got any ardent Predrag Radosevich fans in the chat, my apologies for not knowing your guy. But I'm going to call this like it is. And, I know it's fashionable in boxing to hate on Eddie Hearn, to hate on Sky, and to support Frank Warren. And before I criticise this card, because I'm about to criticise this card, as you can probably tell, what I'm going to say is that last time Frank Warren put up a terrible card was the Hughie Fury card. And on paper, that was an appalling card. And I've got to say, that was one of the most entertaining cards I've seen for years. And I thoroughly enjoyed that night of boxing. So maybe I shouldn't be too harsh, and maybe this will come out on the night. But what I've got to say here, and YouTube's made a comment, Pretrag just faced a guy with 1 win and 28 losses. And Mikey says, and Sturm dealt with him in 4 rounds. Yeah. Now this Liam Smith, Predrag Radosevich is a terrible fight. A terrible fight. And if Eddie Hearn put on this fight, he would get all sorts of stuff, you know. And as a result, I think Frank Warren deserves to be treated in the same light. Look, this guy, I've never heard of him. He's never beaten anyone half decent. The level of opposition he's been in with is low. The time he stepped up, he's been demolished. You know, he doesn't, even his record against low-level opposition, he doesn't carry any power at all. And he's rated 70 on BoxRec. You know, surely we could have found a better opponent for Liam Smith. And this is the problem with Liam Smith, you know. Liam Smith won the vacant title against John Thompson, you know. He then defended it in an awful fight against Jimmy Kelly. You know, at the end of the day, I don't begrudge a fighter for fighting for a vacant title. I don't begrudge a fighter for fighting a, you know, an easy first defense, you know, a domestic opponent. These things happen in boxing. But then after that, he went into, you know, he's gone to fight Predrag Radosevich. And you listen to the press conference. I listened to the press conference though with Francis Warren, and he was saying, look, there's a fight for Liam Smith against Amir Khan. There's a fight for Liam Smith against Kell Brook. Austin Trout didn't want the fight, you know, and I don't blame Austin Trout because I wouldn't want to fight Liam Smith. You know, what kind of planet are they on? People call out Eddie Hearn for being a liar and for hyping. But come on, who sees Liam Smith versus Amir Khan in December? You know, I would give you 500 to 1 that fight gets made in 2015. That's just not realistic. You know, who sees Liam Smith versus Kell Brook on a Frank Warren card on Box Nation? You know, again, I'm not getting into the politics of it, but you'd give 500 to 1 that that would happen this year. You know, and Austin Trout ducked Liam Smith to fight Charlo. I mean, get real. I'm not saying Liam Smith's a very good fighter, by the way. I like Liam Smith. He's a very good fighter. But Austin Trout did not duck Liam Smith in order to fight Charlo. Come on. Get with it. And instead, and I know it's late notice. I know the bill's in 4th of June or something, isn't it? But instead, we're left with Predrag Radosevich. You know, how is that going to convince anyone that Liam Smith is a champion and rather than just a belt holder? You know, I'm not saying, I know it's a short notice. I know there's probably not huge money there. I'm not saying they had to get Canelo or Cotto to fight Liam Smith because that's unrealistic as well. But surely we could have done better than Predrag Radosevich. And I've got to say, it's reminiscent of when Billy Joe Saunders fought Max Bursak, you know. That was perhaps more forgivable as that was Billy Joe's first fight as a champion. But this is really, really uninspiring stuff. And to make matters worse, on the undercard, Francis Warren didn't even attempt to name Paul Butler's opponent. He said, and Paul Butler's fighting, you know, I'm not going to say this guy's name. Let's go with the Thai fighter. You know, come on. I mean, I know some names are more difficult to pronounce than others, but when you're dealing with world-class boxers at, you know, final eliminator or eliminator level, you'd like to think that their name would be well known enough to pronounce it, even for the promoter to announce it, even if us fans can't announce it. Yeah, and then he goes, and we've got Zolani Tete on the undercard fighting one of our favourite opponents, TBA or TBO, which is, you know. So here's what we've got. We've got Liam Smith against a guy no one's heard of, who's 70th on BoxRec. We've got Paul Butler against the guy who Francis Warren, as the promoter, can't even pronounce his name. And we've got Zolani Tete in a TBA fight. You know, it is not exciting. It is not going to build his fighters. It is not making me book out my diary on the 4th of June and, you know, you know, avoid a night out with my mates or with the missus towards this. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. That's me. That's my thoughts on that, Bill. I just thought I had to get that out before we got started up and running. A few other things I've noted down just to throw out there. I've heard rumours today about Amir Khan versus Danny Garcia. I think Amir Khan needs to rebuild. You know, I think Amir Khan should come back to the UK, should have 1 or 2 fights here. So I'm drinking out of one of my girlfriend's mugs, which is probably not the most manly mug that you would expect from a boxing channel, but there you go. Amir Khan versus Danny Garcia, I don't see it. I can't see it. But, you know, fair play if it does happen. Canelo versus Danny Jacobs is the other one I've heard today. You know, for me, I'd rather Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo versus Golovkin, obviously. But, you know, Danny Jacobs, I guess, is a decent fight. And for me, that'd be a preferable fight to David Lemieux if it was to be made. And the other thing I wanted to throw out there is lots of rumours circulating. You know, that Canelo weighed in for this fight on fight night at 180 pounds, which suggests that he put on 25 pounds after the weigh-in. Now, for me, that sounds excessive. You know, I will believe it when I see it. You know, I can't believe he put on that much. But if you look at the photos of him, you know, at the weigh-in compared to at fight night, he looks like a different person. And I do think that's going to catch up with him sooner rather than later, you know, because Canelo is a deceptively young man. He's got all those fights, but he's deceptively young. But as he starts getting into his mid to late 20s, that is going to be really, really, really tough for him. Really tough for him. You know, and there we go. There we go. That's my thoughts. There's a lot of weight to be cutting. Terence says, Khan has only had 4 fights in 4 years. He does not need to rebuild. I think he does need to rebuild, Terence. I think he needs to be more active. I think he needs to have 4 fights next year and get 4 wins under his belt. And, you know, get a bit of confidence back. Because that was a career-altering knockout. That was a career-altering knockout. But yeah, if Canelo was 180, or if he was 175, as people are saying in the chat, then, you know, then there you go. There you go. I mean, he's got no excuse for not fighting. He's got no excuse for not fighting Golovkin, has he? Because he's saying he's 155. Yeah, if he was coming to the ring at 160, okay, I'd say it wasn't a full middleweight. You know, middleweights do come into the ring at 168, maybe even 170. You know, Dale Clark has sent me a message. This is Dale Clark, who is got several different personas online. He says, don't worry about the mug. Worry about the wallpaper, you weak twat. Good to see that you are articulate as ever tonight, Dale. Hope all is well with you, sir. Mate, kid. Anyway, looking at the chat, Mikey is saying, anyone know anything about Andrea Scarpa? He's fighting John Wayne Hibbard. I did see that, and no, I don't know much about him tonight. Captain Chaos is Mayweather versus McGregor. Rumours are hotting up. It's career suicide for McGregor. It is career suicide. I just don't see it. Kiwis joined the chat. Sorry, Paul and Jet both say they like the Lemieux fight versus Canelo. I see it, but you know, it's just hard to get excited for that fight after what Golovkin did to Lemieux for me. John Lintz says he's on a date. Should I be reflecting on Khan Canelo? If you're on a date, you shouldn't be tuning into my live show, mate. But good luck to you. Terence says he only fights twice a year. It's too dodgy a chin to fight at 4 cherries. Ida says he don't need to rebuild. I honestly think he's done enough rebuilding from the Garcia knockout. YouTube says how many times been Khan knocked down now? Got to be double digits. Dave says women always love to hear your opinion on the middleweight championship on a first date. Let's skip ahead. Dale says thank you, you too, mate. Ida, Dale, you are a character. I'll say that for you. Ida says I think he would have a decent chance versus Garcia, and there is no better time than this. Now, not getting any younger. Let's have a look. Scunny Tom's his Crolla next opponent. I'm sure we'll get onto that. Dale's having a bit of banter. He says, who is John Smith? Is he a friend of yours? I'm going to scroll down the chat now. Let's have a look. I've missed a bit of the chat, but there you go. Right. We are going to get the Skype up and running. And I can see I have a message from someone, so I'll just reply to. But the Skype is running, and anyone who is on my Skype is welcome to call in. You guys know the details. While we're waiting for someone to call in, I've got 55 people watching live. Shout out to you if you're watching live. If you are one of those, could you please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. This will help spread the message to a wider audience, help me get new callers on, help me get a few more viewers. So yeah, that'd be great if you wouldn't mind clicking the thumbs up button if you are enjoying what we are doing tonight. But yeah, let's while we're waiting for anyone to call in, and if you do want to call in, now is as good a time as any. Don't be sorry. I will go into the chat. YouTube says Khan is easy work for Brook. You know, I've always found that fight hard to call. If I was Amir Khan, I wouldn't be looking at that fight now. Alex says Andy Ruiz versus Ray Austin. What a joke! Where did they find his corpse? Yeah, I was amazed to see it when that fight was announced. Oh yeah, one other thing actually, when we're talking about it, Crolla versus Flanagan. I'm keen to hear people's thoughts on that. I'm also keen to hear people's thoughts on this Chisora Pulev fight. Where do both guys go from here? Where does Khan and Canelo go from here? These are some of the topics I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about Liam Smith and his opponent. I want to talk about Canelo's next fight. I want to talk about Khan's next fight. Should Chisora retire? Should Pulev retire? Should Pulev get a world title fight? Should Crolla retire? No, I'm kidding. Crolla versus Flanagan. What other fights are out there for both guys? Who are you picking? Jet can't call in tonight as he's at uni right now, he's saying. Dale wants to know how I was scoring the fight. And Dave is calling in. Bear with me. I had Khan up. Dave, how you getting on, my man?
Tom, good. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Very good. What time is it over where you are?
It is just about 4:45.
Nice stuff. So you finished work, have you?
Yes, I'm all finished work, and I'm ready to talk about the weekend's action.
Absolutely, mate. Which one do you want to start on?
I figured we'd start with Pulev Chisora.
Yes.
Good little fight there.
Yes, yes. I read your write-up on that actually the other day, mate. Yeah, that was interesting. Do you want to give out the name of the website you write for?
Oh yes, I just started with Ringside Report. It's a website from over in the States here, and I'll be doing a couple articles a week for them anyway.
Cool stuff. So yeah, check out Ringside Report and check out Dave's stuff on there. But yeah, Pulev versus Chisora. How did you see it, mate?
Well, that's sort of what I thought would happen. I mean, Chisora, I always saw him as sort of having maybe a little bit of class, but if he's going to fight in that style, I don't think he can do it with that low of a work rate. It's just not going to work for him. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Do you see Pulev as a threat in the heavyweight division?
You know what? I think he's certainly in the mix. I see Pulev as sort of I see him in a similar way to Badu Jack, where nothing really sticks out about his game, but he's very well rounded, and he doesn't really have anything. I mean, I guess speed and his jab would be his thing, but I don't really see him as having this one great skill, a great punch or something like that. I just see him as a well-rounded boxer that can probably come up with a few tricks in there.
Yeah, I think he's a poor man's Vladimir Klitschko, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty well. He sort of fights that way, but I guess he doesn't have the great size to use to his advantage the way Klitschko does. Yeah.
He fights the same, just without the power, without the size.
He doesn't appear to have the strength to neutralize his man on the inside the way Klitschko does. Chisora was able to have a lot of success with his body attack, but just wasn't able to press the fight enough.
Yeah, Chisora was really disappointing on the inside for me. If you're a fighter whose whole game relies on getting on the inside, you've got to have something to do once you get there. I mean, if he'd thrown an uppercut, if he'd had faster feet, faster hands, you know, the uppercut was there for him, I thought.
You can only score so many points throwing weak hooks to the body in the clinches.
This is it. It was scrappy, and for me, there's still big fights out there for Chisora. You know, the domestic heavyweight scene is so strong here that there's big domestic fights for him, but I think that's him done at world level or even Euro level.
Exactly. I think with that's a big problem we have in boxing now is all this sort of mismatches, and they're carting these guys out again and again. And you know what? After the Fury fight, I sort of felt the same way with Chisora last time. Maybe he's not really doing anything. He's just sort of standing there absorbing punishment. Maybe it's time for him to sort of go down. Doesn't mean we can't enjoy his career anymore, but I'd be glad never to see him in there against the top guy again. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be interesting to see where Pulev turns up next, actually. He impressed me. I actually think that was the best win of Pulev's career. Yeah, I could see that. He looked really good. I know, actually, before that fight, because I knew I was covering it, I watched some of Pulev's previous fights. And he really sets up that right hand nicely. Like, he makes sure he lands it on the button.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a good performance. I thought all the other fights that he won, like Dimitrenko, Thompson, Ustinov, these were tall guys who give you range and give you space. And I thought he'd struggle against a guy like Chisora who can smother you, but he didn't. He adjusted to it well, I thought.
Chisora, he reminds me of Timothy Bradley in a way that every fight he seems to do all this press and interviews saying, I'm going to go after him. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to take the fight to him. And he keeps saying it, just like Bradley always says, I'm going to be a power puncher. I'm going to be a power puncher. But neither of them can ever seem to do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah, I believe him every time, though. Every time I see Chisora before a fight, I believe him. And every time afterwards, I can't believe I've fallen for it again.
I tell you what, I almost picked him in my YouTube video there, and then I thought, I better
not. Yeah, very sensible.
Always go with the class.
Very sensible. Yeah.
Now, what about the middleweight championship of the world there, Tom? What did you think of that?
Well, the 155 middleweight division, yeah.
Yeah, the middle welterweight championship.
I'll tell you what, if Canelo really was 175 to 180 in the ring, in the long run, in 3 or 4 years' time, this 155 is going to be undoing of him, because I don't know how old Canelo is. I think he's like 24, 25, 26. He's
25.
He's 25, is it? He's probably getting away with it, But, mate, when he gets to 28, 29, putting on, 2 stone overnight, that's going to be,
Yeah,
it's going to be horrible.
I was actually thinking about this in between jobs today, and I was thinking that Canelo must be having a hard time getting down to 155, actually. But the thing with him is that he's so stocky of a build, sort of. If he was to go up in weight class, he'd be too short and have such a short reach that he'd be ineffective, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Canelo would have no chance at super middleweight. The guys like Callum Smith, Ramirez, these guys are just a different level in terms of height and reach and range. But I think surely he should be fighting at 160, given that size he's coming into the ring at.
Yes, I think this Canelo-Golovkin fight is going to go on. I think this is a case where they didn't want to make it too soon because it would have totally cleared out the middleweight division in terms of intrigue.
Yeah.
So they're trying to drag it out. They'll probably drag it out another fight or two, but they'll make it.
Yeah,
how could they not?
Yeah, Golovkin is not a young fighter. He's 34.
No, he's 33 or something like that.
Yeah, I think they'd be inclined. If they could keep Canelo busy, gradually step him up to 160, fights against Lemieux, fights against Danny Jacobs, etc. Big fights along the way, and then fight Golovkin in a year, 18 months' time. I think that's the strategy that they're likely to take.
Yeah, I think with this 155 stuff, this is all just like these prize fighters teach themselves to give themselves every tiny advantage they can. This is why you see stuff with Vladimir Klitschko and his tricks with the gloves, the foam in the ring, serving Pulev with a lawsuit in the locker room before the fight. They take all these little advantages for themselves. So Canelo, he knows he's won the middleweight title at 160, but he figures if he's going to fight these other guys, he can use that to his advantage by negotiating a lower weight that might give them trouble. I'm surprised he didn't fight 160 for Khan, actually, because it would have forced him to go up even more.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. It's this is why we have weight classes.
I apologize for cutting you off there, Tom, but I want to say about Amir Khan is that I really admire his heart and his determination, and you can't blame the guy for taking a chance at the middleweight title, but he didn't belong in the ring there. He was clearly a welterweight against a middleweight, and that was very dangerous and probably pretty reckless of Golden Boy to have him there. I mean, it looked like he was dead in the ring there at first, and that's a real shame because he's a good fighter and he could probably do really well at welterweight.
Absolutely. This is why we have weight classes, though, isn't it? I mean, you know, it's I know Canelo does weird things with his weight, but essentially Canelo came into the ring as a cruiserweight, and Amir Khan is a natural welterweight in my eyes. And
monstrous in comparison.
Absolutely. And this is why we have weight classes. This is why Liam Smith isn't going to fight Sergey Kovalev, because there's a difference.
Yeah, it might be about time that they start doing the weigh-in on the morning of the fight like they used to many years ago.
It's just too dangerous, that, though, isn't it?
Well, maybe these guys shouldn't be rehydrating anymore. Maybe they should fight at their more natural weight. And if you're going to walk around at the street at 175 and be dehydrated till you're down to 155 or whatever, then maybe you should fight at 175. And then those guys will have to go up also.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in theory, but what would happen in practice is that guys would continue to cut weight to try and get the advantage, and you just see more and more big injuries with people like entering horribly dehydrated and that sort of thing.
Well, look at a guy like Mayweather. He never rehydrated that much. He'd be in the ring sometimes in the 140s.
Well, you've heard about him with the saline drip, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess, no, you're right, though. I mean, he did fight at what appeared to be his natural weight class, but I guess he's one of the sort of unique talents of the sport, whereas the average guy would be, you know, cutting that extra pound or two on the day to try and get a little advantage. And, you know, I guess that it would lead to horrible injuries, you know.
I also wanted to ask you if you saw the scorecards. They were posted all over social media, and one judge had only one round in favor of Khan, which I thought was unbelievable.
Do you know what? I think a bit too much has been made of this. I agree with you. You couldn't only give Khan one round. I think he won the first two clearly. But do you know what? I could see an argument for score, and I'm not saying this is how I would score it myself. I could see an argument for scoring this 3-2 in favor of Canelo. I thought Khan won the first two clearly. I thought the next three were very, very competitive, and momentum was starting to swing in Canelo's favor. I think it depends what you prefer.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. It's sort of like that Butte fight a couple of weeks ago there, where and Algieri Provodnikov is another example of a fight sort of like that. I guess it's in the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think a lot of people get on Canelo's back because obviously they perceive that he had gift decisions against Trout and Lara, and you know the Mayweather decision was ridiculous. I mean, that's the most bizarre of all. But yeah, I thought the fight was starting to swing in Canelo's favor, and I think he was very in the fight at the time of the stoppage.
Oh yeah, you know what I find with those guys that are pure speed boxers is they always have sort of a shine on them for the first few rounds, like Khan did, where they're able to move well. But then once they're actually, their heart's going and they're sweating a little bit, then you see them, they start to stand a little flatter-footed, and that's when a guy like Canelo can really go to work. Absolutely, absolutely. So for this fight, I actually had a few bucks on Canelo by knockout 7-8-9, and he obviously just went to work a little bit early, but I expected Khan to win the early rounds and then Canelo to catch up with him late.
This is it. This is it. I mean, yeah, I think on balance, that it's hard to know because Khan was doing a good job of being evasive and making Canelo mix. I think that extra weight was actually a negative for Khan. I think it slowed him down a bit earlier than usual in a fight. Yeah, he actually looked kind of chubby in there, which was like probably not good if you're fighting at 160 or 155, or you know, you want to be right, or you want to maximize your abilities in there. You don't want to come in heavier than you need to. It doesn't benefit you in any way. That's it. And that was the difference. On fight night, Khan was a chubby 160, whereas Canelo was a lean as hell 180. Yes.
I wanted to ask you one more thing. This is about David Lemieux. Did you catch that fight?
I did. I haven't watched that fight. I know what happened, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, because I was going to ask. I noticed that I thought his punches, he looked like he'd worked on sharpening them up a lot. But I also noticed he worked at maybe adding a little bit of range to his hooks.
Okay.
It looked like he was trying to punch a little bit longer, which I thought maybe was a response to him being unable to close the gap against Golovkin. But it looked like his hooks were getting out there a little more. So when you get a chance, let me know what you think.
Absolutely, mate. I'll try and check that fight out. It sounds like he did fairly well.
Oh, yeah, he looked good. He looked pretty sharp. Looked like he, put the work in. And I mean, David's a good middleweight. He should be up in the top 10 conversation there. There's no reason why he needs to go away because he lost to Golovkin. Golovkin's a great fighter.
Totally agree. Still big fights out there for him. Definitely.
All right, well, I better get some dinner on the stove here, Tom. I'll keep watching here and
absolutely, mate.
Look forward to the rest of the show.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Great to speak to you, mate. And yeah, have a good evening.
All right, you too. Talk to you later.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks very much to Dave for calling in. Good call to start things off tonight. And that was Dave of the Dave Champion channel. So yeah, be sure to subscribe to Dave's channel as well if you like boxing, chat and that sort of thing. We're up to about 60 people watching live now. So that's great. We're getting some decent numbers up now. We're getting people tuning in and that sort of thing. So if you are one of the 60, please do take a second to hit the thumbs up button and help me share this to a wider audience. Cool. So lines are free. I missed a call from someone just before Dave called in. He missed out by about 1 minute. So do call back in if that was yourself. Otherwise, we will go to the chat. Mikey says, Lemieux systematically broke him down really well. Cool. I will check that fight out. Yeah, a few people giving a good shout out to Lemieux. Terry says that he thinks Khan earned about $10 million. Yeah, I've heard as much as 13. Jet says Jason Quigley is a very good prospect. I haven't actually seen much of Jason Jet. I'll have to check that out. Paul says, yeah, the Irish kid. Talking about Jason Quigley. YouTube says Virginder Singh is going to finish Khan off. Bloody hell. I mean, Khan looked, Khan's too small for 155. Virginder Singh looks like a decent sized 168 fighter. So I hope that doesn't happen. Mikey says, anyone think Trout has a realistic chance against Charlo? I need to look into the fight a bit more, Mikey, before making a prediction. But yeah, Austin Charlotte is a very good fighter, quite underrated. And Dale says Singh is not a big name. No, he's not a big name at this point, but he will be when he breaks out into the Indian market, which I know Frank Warren and team are looking to do. Sam says, who would you like to see Brook fight next out of interest? Well, what I would say is the Vargas fight doesn't excite me. The Berto fight doesn't excite me. The Lamont Peterson fight doesn't excite me. The obvious exciting fights are Pacquiao, the Porter Furman winner, Danny Garcia, Amir Khan. Yeah, none of those fights are realistic, though. Tim Bradley, maybe. Maybe. I don't actually see realistic fights for Kel. I think that's the problem. I think that's why he needs to look at doing something differently, either fighting in the States, fighting at 154, but it's a real tough position for Hearn to be in. People give Hearn, a lot of stick for Kell Brook. To an extent, he deserves stick, don't get me wrong. But it's a tough job, that is, I would say. Harte's joined in. Good evening, sir. Terry Aston says, Singh versus Khan. It is a circus act. Totally agree. YouTube says, Brooks would fight Vargas in the summer and Bradley in November. Yeah, the Vargas fight just doesn't appeal. I mean, how many people here would pick Vargas to beat Brook? Lewis says, Brook and that tweet, thoughts. Def doesn't think to get in that fight. Yeah, so Brook called out Khan straight after the knockout. Some suggestion it was slightly bad taste to call him out that quickly. I think a bit too much is being made of it, personally. That's my opinion. But yeah, he maybe could have waited. I've got Adrian calling him. Adrian, how you doing?
Hey, you all right?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. How's life?
All good, all good. I made a 7 on the live stream. You keep calling me Ida.
Yeah, that's what your name's coming up as. How do you
Ada?
Ada? Sorry, mate. Sorry, I will make a note for future reference.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. Calling him to talk about Khan. He actually slimmed down. He wasn't he like at a massive weight, and he had to actually lose weight to get that weight.
Yeah, I mean, I think he cut weight to make 155. I think he was about low 160s, which is what he was doing anyway when he was fighting at welterweight.
Yeah, because he was struggling to make welterweight 147, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, they say he was big. Yeah, I mean, for the Devin Alexander fight, he weighed in at 160. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So, because everyone's saying that, suddenly it's because Canelo's a big puncher, which we all know he is, and he is bigger than him. But Khan's been knocked out in every single weight class, pretty much, apart from 147. So, I think he's a great fighter. He's got amazing boxing skills, but there's certain stuff that he's not really that good at, in the sense of he doesn't for someone that fast. I don't think he's got the best accuracy. I think he should how do I explain it? He should because he does about 4 combos because he's got the speed. Then he sort of jumps back, and I think that's classed as his defense. But he ain't got the power to pull that off. You need to learn to do. It's more like Broner and your Mayweather does. Even Canelo was doing it. He needs to pot shot, so he needs to focus more on timing. Or even Cal Brook, for example, does it. So if he focuses on his timing, I reckon he would have a better chance of probably hurting Canelo a bit with cleaner shots, because what he was doing a rapid amount of punches, then he would jump back. But Canelo's got really good defense boxing skills, so I felt like Canelo was sort of I know punches were landing, and then he fell for Canelo's trap.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, anyway? Sorry.
No, mate, absolutely. Do you know what? I personally don't think that the best Amir Khan ever could beat Canelo, because I just think in boxing we have weight classes for a reason. But yeah, I think with Khan there is that tendency to get too stuck in and become a bit complacent and take risks in the fight. And at the end of the day, it is a lack of discipline. And he fell for a feint that Canelo threw. Canelo threw a little feint jab, and Khan moved his hands, dropped his guard to try and counter the jab, and he got taken out. And my question is, why was Amir Khan in that position anyway? If I was training Amir Khan, and don't get me wrong, Virgil Hunter is 20, 30 times the trainer I could ever be, I would be saying, don't be in front of Canelo. You've got to be outside of range. You can't just be standing there at the end of Canelo's power punch, For me, that's the bigger issue.
But he said he was going to fight like Mayweather, which is probably impossible to do. But or even Lara. But what he did was, I didn't see anything special apart from he was wasting a lot of energy. Oh, sorry, my phone. He was wasting a lot of energy, and he was wasting a lot of energy, and he was doing good because I felt like he was winning a fight. But I've always got in my head the Lara fight where Canelo put it on him, with the body shots towards the end of the fight, the last 6 rounds. And I didn't think Khan would be able to take those body punches anyway, but he's doing well, but his defense is not that good.
That's always been his problem.
His feet's good, but he's got good feet, but he ain't got no he doesn't slip the punches that well. He's got no. He's there to knocked out. His hands, where were they? Where was his hands?
This is it. Yeah, his defense has always been his issue, and if you look at that Chris Algieri fight, the amount of times Chris Algieri was able to put it on him and force him all around the ring. Yeah, he was never. You can't go from Chris Algieri doing that to you to fighting Canelo. It's just a crazy move to make for me.
But sometimes I think Khan manipulates the audiences because he's always contradicting himself. So he had Virgil Hunter as well saying, "Oh yeah, Canelo's not a natural middleweight." But then when he knocks him out, "Oh yeah, he's a natural middleweight. He was a cruiserweight in a fight." It's Khan's never consistent with what he says. So he's good at selling a fight, basically.
He is, yeah. And I thought it was a bit odd how they turned on Canelo straight after the fight, actually.
It was a bit bitter, wasn't it?
It was a bit odd. It was a bit odd
bitter.
because there'd been no bad blood up to that point. And, you know, it just came from nowhere. So I don't know if it's trying to take the attention away from the loss or something like that. But it was strange for me.
But I do rate Khan higher than Cal Brook, though. Because, like, at least he's fighting the people that's what I have to give him credit for. Whereas, like, as big a fan as I am of Cal Brook, who has he fought?
Yeah, I think Khan's certainly been in better fights than Cal Brook. Khan's certainly, you know, faced tougher opposition than Cal Brook.
Yeah.
It is hard to be honest, here today, it is hard for me to picture Amir Khan beating Cal Brook, I would say.
Yeah, because Cal Brook's got the power, and like we saw, Khan is there to be hit, and I think Cal Brook's a bit quick, yeah, and it's more accurate than Canelo, as good as Canelo is, because Cal Brook is on point when it comes to hitting someone. When he can hit his targets easy, but at the same time, we don't know how good Cal Brook actually is, because the only fighter he's really fought is Porter, and Khan's resume is actually 10 times better than Cal Brook's.
Yeah,
Personally speaking,
it is.
So like, I like Cal Brook to fight someone in his next fight that's actually a threat. He won't be a Maidana because he's still probably fat, but I need him to fight someone it's a 50-50 fight. I know they're going for Jesse Vargas, is it?
Yeah.
The world champion. That's a smart move by Eddie Hearn, but because it's another bout and he possibly could win it. But it's not one that I want to watch. I need him to fight someone that's worth watching. I can't see him fighting Busy Hayes and whoever for your Frankie Gatherings and all that. I need him to fight world-class opponents now.
Absolutely.
He's 30 years old.
Yeah, he's got the longest undefeated streak in British boxing. He's 30 years old. You're right. And the problem is I don't see any of the real exciting fights happening. I cannot see the Pacquiaos, the Furmans, the Garcias. I just don't see it.
The thing is, I think he would beat Garcia. I don't know about Furman. Furman's another one I don't quite know how good he is. But he's starting to fight. He's fighting Porter next, and he impressed me against Robert Garcia. But I still don't know how good he is either, to be honest. And I guess Porter would test him. Like I said, and then you got like Errol Spence, is he not Cal Brook's mandatory?
No, he's not. He's got a final eliminator against a nobody to be Cal Brook's mandatory.
So technically, he will be then.
He will be in all likelihood. Yeah.
But with Errol Spence is someone that I have to admit he's not really fought anyone apart from Chris Algieri. But you just know when someone's a talent.
He looks fantastic.
I would like him to fight Cal Brook, but I don't think Eddie Hearn's going to risk that fight. They should avoid that one at all costs. I think it's a massive risk, that one.
I think that's why they might go down the Vargas street, you know, get another belt, and then you can give up the IBF.
Yeah. But you want to keep your belts and grow the legacy, but you want to make money as well. So, because I heard them say Cotto, but wouldn't he have to go up a weight? Because I don't think Cotto fights at 147.
No, you'd have to go up a weight. I guess you do that for the sake of getting the big fight. But Miguel Cotto doesn't want to fight Cal Brook. Why does he want to fight Cal Brook? Because the risk is too large, isn't it? You know, if Cotto beats Cal Brook, he's just beaten someone from the weight division below. If he loses to Cal Brook, it's a disaster. And I think he probably would lose to Cal Brook at this stage. He's probably
battle worn now.
Yeah.
I do respect Cotto though. He's fought everyone, ain't he?
He's a legend, but he's got a lot of miles on the clock at this stage.
Definitely. He's not like Floyd Mayweather, where Mayweather's like a diesel. It can go on forever.
This is it, yeah. Floyd's been in a lot of fights, but he's taken very few beatings, whereas Cotto has been in a few fights over the years, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And Cotto was looking good, but it just shows with boxing you can make someone look amazing by making them fight nobodies. Because that Cotto lately was looking good before he fought Canelo, and now his stock has just dropped again. So like, it's all good. That's like I said in your with Amir Khan. Like, I don't think he needs to rebuild. If anything, his stock has actually risen. What he needs to do is just fight someone like a Garcia, who I reckon he would have learned his lesson, hopefully. Because I honestly think Garcia is easy to beat for someone like a Khan and a Peterson, even though he lost, even though I thought he won. But he's very stationary, and he ain't got the same power as someone like Canelo, but he has got the power. But I think Khan would beat Danny Garcia, but I don't think he needs to go back to fighting nobodies again, because when he got knocked out, I was just getting bored of the constant. There weren't nobodies, but there weren't world elite fighters who Khan claims to be. So I reckon he should stay at the level he's at, because there's a lot of fighters that have been knocked out that come back stronger. Lennox Lewis, for example. You didn't have to rebuild, really.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And Lennox got knocked out hard sometimes as well. But yeah, that knockout against Canelo, I mean, it was a scary knockout. It was the sort of knockout where you could see someone getting killed off it. That's the problem. And
yeah, true.
I just wonder for Amir, part of me thinks like a little comeback fight, keep busy, get a bit more active, get a bit of confidence back. It's going to be hard to jump straight back into a big fight after that for me.
But even in his comeback fight, he got knocked down by I can never remember his name.
Diaz.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
He got knocked down by him, and I don't think he's a big puncher.
Nah.
So we all know, like, everyone's forgetting Khan's not got the best punch resistance. I ain't gonna say he's got a weak chin, because he has took a few good shots in his career, but he's not got the best punch resistance or the best defense. So I don't think he's got a great heart, but I don't think he just ain't got the resistance to handle certain power.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're saying is a risk for him to take even the lower fights. Yeah.
Well, the low fights ain't a risk, because we just outbox him. He's just underworld level, Khan, is in my personal opinion. So anyone on that level, you beat like your Devon Alexander's in his sleep. But like, so if he does rebuild, then he should be at that level, just underworld level. But don't drop to like nobodies again. Just fight you. Because I didn't mind him fighting Devon Alexander, but I did mind him fighting that Diaz guy and that Molina guy. Yeah. He tried to fight Danny Garcia, because back then Danny Garcia was a nobody, but he built Danny Garcia's career. Because Danny Garcia was no one until he fought Khan, really, in a sense. So his stock has risen highly since then. Even he probably still lives off that a bit.
Yeah, Khan was a huge favourite in that fight. Yeah, he was.
Definitely. He was dominating that fight, and then he just got reckless, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just gets hit some stupid shots, and it's just annoying, because he's just underworld level, and if he could take a punch, he'd probably be unbeaten. Yeah,
if Khan had a world-class chin, he could be pound for pound number one. But but it's easy to say that, isn't it? But he's got skills, he's got amateur pedigree, he's got great speed. It's a combination that doesn't have world-class punch resistance, doesn't have defense, and for me that combination is a fatal problem for Amir Khan.
I think he fights with a sort of red mist in his head as well, because I reckon he just gets really like adrenaline rushes when he hits someone, because he does not have the discipline just to pot shot someone. Because if he can do that, work on accuracy, timing, that would you are fast, but didn't Canelo have like 50% punches landed and Khan had quite less?
Yeah, Canelo had something like 51% of his power punches landed, which is crazy.
It just shows, isn't it? Timing beats speed.
That's it, mate. That's it. It's all about timing. Is one of the least discussed, but most important things in the ring. And we've seen people with great timing defeat Amir Khan several occasions now. And it's one of them things that he's vulnerable when he's throwing. When he's actually throwing in fast hands, and as you say, when the red mist is descending, that's when he's open. And if you can time him, you can hurt him then. You can. Ada, mate, I must crack on, but really, really good to speak to you. Thanks very much for calling in, mate.
All right, see you later.
We'll do it again. Cheers, mate. Bye now. Bye.
Yes.
Thanks very much to Ada. Really good to speak to him. He's a long-time listener, first-time caller. So, calling in. Anyone who wants to call in now, we'll keep it moving. The lines are free. And, we will. Got Marcel calling in. Marcel, how you doing?
I'm good. BG, good. I'm good.
Good stuff.
Good week of boxing. Good week of boxing last week. This weekend, there's a lot of good fights. My absolute favorite was Antonio Crolla's fight against the guy that looked like the monster, Ishmael Barroso. It was an absolutely great fight. I mean, the last podcast, everybody was saying he was going to lose. Everybody said he's going to get beaten in 6 to 9 rounds and everything. He's going to get dropped. But great tactics, he pulled it off well. And people are not really talking about that fight. It's a really good fight. And I think he deserves a lot of credit. He should be ranked top 3 lightweights right now. But that was a fantastic fight. And I give him a lot of credit. The Amir Khan fight, I don't know, I wasn't fooled, man. I didn't buy into the hype, man. Amir Khan, he's a good boxer. He's not top 3 welterweight in the world. We're not even sure he's the best in UK than Brook. So, I mean, even if he was the same size as Canelo, even if they were both on the same weight, I mean, would he beat Canelo on the same weight? If he wasn't, let's say it was a light welterweight or middleweight, would he be able to beat Canelo? I don't think so. I don't think he's that. I think Canelo is still a league above him, regardless of the weight. I don't think he's a better boxer than Canelo. The Pulev Chisora fight, I don't know. I think that the scoring was just, I don't know. The scoring was just, I don't know. How could someone have said Chisora won 115 to 113? Did you see that?
In the Chisora fight, that was crazy. Yeah. You know, I wanted Chisora to win that fight, but I couldn't give him more than 3 rounds, really.
I mean, that was a travesty. That was just wrong. I could not. I mean, we should start a petition or something to fight against things like that. There should be a federal body or something, a government body that should, clamp down things like that, because that kind of fight, you think, oh, the home fighter gets the points, but I don't know if I'll call that incompetence or just corruption or what. I don't know what to call that, but it was totally wrong. I couldn't give Chisora more than 3 rounds, 4 rounds at best. I don't even think 4 rounds. 4 rounds is just being, maybe if I'm his family member, I could give him 4 rounds, or he's my brother or something. I mean, the best I could do was give him 3 rounds, the best. And fairly, I probably just say 2 rounds. And they gave him, a judge gave him the fight. What was he watching? That was unbelievably bad. I don't know. Well, Chisora still has future. I mean, I see him having a good fight with Dillian White.
Yeah.
That could be a good card. Maybe an Anthony Joshua on the card. That could be a big fight. I could still see that happening. I could still see him fighting with Dave Allen. That's a good domestic scrap. I could see him still doing very well domestically with a lot of good fighters. There's Richard Chambers, Richard Tower, sorry.
Yeah.
Which is also a decent fight. So I can't. There's still a lot. He still has a lot of options. I still think his fight against Brook is one everybody wants to see, and that I think should happen without delay. Because if he finds another fight that has another loss, it might reduce the appeal for that fight. It might reduce the market for that fight. So if he could make that fight December after the Ramadan and all that, that would be good for him. That would be good for him. I mean, I was just going to talk about the May 21st card, the David Haye one.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we know that he picked someone that Dennis backed off. That fought Dennis backed off. I got dropped twice, but Dennis backed off. I don't know if you've seen that fight.
What for? Dennis Baktov against Arnold Jar Jar?
Arnold. That name we can.
Arnold the Cobra. Yeah, mate. I've done a bit of research on this guy. He is terrible. David Haye should get rid of him in one round.
Remember Dennis Baktov?
Yeah, I know Baktov. Yeah. I watched that fight, mate.
Twice by Baktov. I got robbed in that fight. Baktov should have won that fight.
He made Baktov look like Mike Tyson in that fight. The way Baktov was getting all over him. He did. Let me tell you, this fight, David Haye knocks out Jar Jar in one round. The only way he doesn't do it is if David Haye decides to carry him for a few rounds because he wants to make it into more of a spectacle. But if David Haye tries to do it, David Haye knocks this guy out. I'll take it further. He knocks him out in the first minute of the first round.
But then I don't know. He just be the businessman. He's just playing on his market advantage that he knows he's going to sell, regardless of who he puts in the ring, who fights with. I just think he's just being overly careful. He could have fought Alexander Dmitryenko. That would have been the better fight. I wouldn't be complaining about that. Being his second fight back. But what can we say about David Haye? The other fight that day, the Carlos Takam and Joseph Parker. Who do you have winning that one?
That's a really, really good fight. And I could see that going either way. But if I had to pick one, I'd go Joseph Parker. I think he can maybe outbox Takam.
Yeah, I was going for him, but then I thought about the fact that his reach is quite short for someone his height. And his experience, I can't really, based on who he has fought, I don't know, it's hard to say he's going to surprise us. I don't know. It's a really hard fight to call. It's a shame that it won't be on Sky on Box Nation, which would have been a really good fight. It'd probably be early in the morning since it's all the way in New Zealand. It could have been a good fight to use on UK because that is he might be someone that might fight Joshua since he's part of the IBM competition thing they're doing. We don't even know what's going on with that, but yeah, it would be a good fight. It would be. And the one in Russia, the Rockies, real life Rocky.
Yeah.
Who do you have for that?
Povetkin versus Wilder. That is a great fight. I really enjoy the clash of styles. I think it's two of the top heavyweights in the world. I am going to pick Povetkin. I think actually the fight may be similar to Canelo versus Khan. I think Wilder may outbox Povetkin from the outside in the early rounds. I think Wilder may establish a small points lead. But fundamentally, as Povetkin comes into the fights, he is going to catch Wilder. I don't think Wilder's defense is there. I don't think Wilder's discipline is there. And at that point, he is going to get hit. And I think he's going to get knocked out. So I'm going Povetkin. What about yourself, Marcel?
Because of the range, he likes fighting. He doesn't have a very good inside game, but he fights very well with the range. Deontay Wilder keeps you at a distance. He keeps you at a distance. He did the same thing against Devon.
Yes,
he did that really well. And they kind of measure up in dimension. They kind of measure Povetkin and Devon. They kind of measure up in dimension, and the way they kind of fight, they bend a bit and they try to get it inside. So I don't know if he does a Klitschko and clinches and fights at a distance. It might be a very long, painful night for Brook. It might be a very long, painful. I see going the distance. But the problem about going the distance in Russia is he might get robbed.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I don't see him getting knocked out.
See,
he might go the distance and he might get robbed. That's what I think.
This is the thing, though. If Wilder fights like he did against Devon, and if Povetkin is dominated from the outside like he was against Klitschko, then Wilder can win this fight on points. He can. But I just think he's going to get knocked out. That's the problem. I don't think it goes 12 because I don't think he'll keep defensively tight for 12 rounds. And when Povetkin lands, I think Povetkin will take his head off. I mean, you saw what Povetkin did to Mike Perez and to Carlos Takam and to Manuel Charles.
Yeah.
These are good fighters.
That was a good scrap. That was a good. Takam was a very good scrap.
Yes.
A really good fight. It was a really good fight. There's a fantasy fight I have in my mind that I think might be a really good fight. It might never get made, but I see that fight as being a good fight for this stage. That's Chris Eubanks Jr. versus David Lemieux.
Right.
That is my top fantasy fight for this year. I don't know how that's going to happen, but
that's a very good fight, actually. I've never heard someone call that one out before.
No, nobody talks about it. Nobody has ever said anything about that. I don't know, but if that could get made, that would be a really good fight. Because of their styles, I mean, Lemieux punches really hard. I mean, I watched his fight against GGG and I saw GGG get buzzed. If you watch, I think the 7th round when the fight ended, or the 6th round, late round, he punched GGG so hard, he got buzzed. I'd never seen GGG get buzzed. GGG got buzzed. It was just a split of a second, but he punched GGG and he got buzzed a bit towards the late rounds. And I know if he punched GGG a few more times like that, I don't know what could have happened, but that was a good fight. He punches, I think right after GGG, David Lemieux is the hardest puncher in the middleweight. I don't think. And then for fighting against someone like the Barbarian, Chris Evans Jr., with his punches in combinations and he's really fast. That would be a really good fight. That's gonna be my fantasy fight. That's it for me tonight. I'll let you crack on, mate.
Cheers, Marcel. Really appreciate it, mate. And thanks for calling in again. Good to speak to you.
Yeah, no problem. Speak to you later. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye now. Bye. Thanks very much to Marcel calling in. Had some good callers tonight. Chris Eubank Jr. versus David Lemieux. Do you know what? It could happen. I guess if Golden Boy were looking for an opponent for Canelo, they could maybe make that fight the winner to fight Canelo. I don't know. Could be interesting. I'm still thinking Eubank is going to fight Billy Joe Saunders, but, you know, each day that passes, you wonder why it hasn't been made yet. So there we are. If someone else wants to call in, please do so now. Otherwise, we will go into the chat. We've been live for about an hour tonight, so if nobody calls in the next few minutes, we may start to wind things down this evening. I'll just have a look into the chat now. Jet says, did Coyle move up to 140 in his last 6-rounder? Yes, he did. Jay Below, some bookies have made Vlad a favourite since Fury took his top off at the press conference. Are you jumping on the good odds before he gets in shape? I'm not actually. I don't. Do you know what? I'm not as confident of Fury winning this fight as I was last time round. You know, I'm not saying he's going to lose. I'm not saying I'm going to pick Klitschko. But I'm also not confirming I'm going to pick Fury right now. BDB says Povetkin is a real 50-50 fight with Wilder. I hope Wilder takes it. Better for the division. I agree on that point. Let's have a look now. Kiwi says Povetkin will not deal with the height and reach. Povetkin may be a better boxer, but Wilder can hit him from range. You're right, Kiwi. But all Povetkin needs to do is hit him once. YouTube says Agogo versus Eubank Jr. I've never rated Agogo as a pro. Never seen anything there at all. Bullet Truth says he wants Wilder to be humbled. Boxing Enthusiast says Eubank Jr. wins. He doesn't rate Lemieux. Bullet Truth says Agogo is the great disappointment. Mikey says Povetkin KOs Wilder. He'll bustle inside the pocket and detonate on that chin. I agree, Mikey. Boxing Enthusiast says Agogo is a bum. Archie Balls, Eubank Jr. versus Canelo gossip. Very hard fight to call. Probably Canelo. Although I do think Canelo's style may play into Eubank Jr.'s hard. I need hands. I need to actually think about that. I am going to fence it there. Bear with me. Jet is calling in. Jet, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm alright, mate. You?
Yeah, not so bad, mate. Not so bad. How's uni?
Oh, mate. Nightmare. I thought I'd just take a quick break and give a quick call in. see how things were going.
Good stuff. I saw you sparring with. I wasn't following it because I was on the phone to Marcel. I saw you sparring with our good friend John Smith earlier.
Oh mate, just going back and forth. A lot of hate going on. You know what I mean? Don't know if I won that. I like to think I was a bit awkward with the southpaw stance.
Mate, I'm sure you were holding your own. Yeah.
Just get your thoughts on Ismail Barroso versus Crolla.
It's a hard one, mate.
You got the video.
For a start, great fight. For a second start, great tactics by Crolla. Really impressed. I picked Barroso to beat him, so I got that one.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I remember from the podcast actually. What I've got to say, and I hate to do this because I don't. If I get a fight wrong, I like to instantly come out and give the other guy credit. And I like Anthony Crolla. As I say, I met him, and I really, really like the guy. But I've got to say it. I'm still not entirely convinced by Crolla. He's improved.
Yeah.
He's very good, but this performance makes you wonder how good is Barroso. And we always think how good was Darley's Perez. And I still remember Crolla losing at domestic level, and I'm just not 100% sure, mate. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think for me, it's more a thing where Barroso was good, but I think it was more so because Andy Crolla's tactics was spot on. For me, Barroso's good if you allow him to be, and I think obviously Kevin Mitchell was very faded, but Kevin Mitchell obviously allowed him to be very, very, very come forward, aggressive. I did think his footwork, Barroso's footwork at the first few rounds was actually pretty good. Obviously, he gassed after the fifth round, I'd say, but that was only because he can carry the frantic pace. Don't get me wrong, I think Barroso's still a live opponent. I think he's 33, 32.
Yeah.
But he's still a live opponent for anyone at lightweight. I think, assuming they allow his tactics to be properly implemented. I know Crolla said he does hit hard when he did get through, and he has thudding bowels. So he's definitely a player. But I think, I agree with you. Crolla, I think. I disagree slightly with the domestic losses and that sort of stuff. I do think Crolla's improved a lot since then. So in my pre-fight prediction, I did say he has improved a lot since the Derry Matthews knockout. What was it? He was fighting for the English title. Can't remember the guy's name at the moment, but I think he's improved a lot. But to say he's the number one lightweight in the world is too far a stretch. I think for me, Francis Bufflin, he's probably the number one lightweight, and I don't think Eddie Hearn would even speak of his name, let alone put him in with him. Jorge Linares, he said he's WBC champion, but he's actually wrong. He's been stripped, and I think Dejan Zlatikanin is fighting for the vacant title.
Oh right, yeah.
He's champion in recess, so Linares will probably get shot straight after, because the WBC have a rule that they have to do 2 mandatories for a vacant title. So, I mean, he could face Linares if it was just for the WBA title. It would be a really good scalp on his record as well. And for me, the more I think about it, it's a winnable fight for Crolla. But, I mean, if Kevin Mitchell at almost his best could not beat Linares, I have severe doubts with Crolla, especially moving forward now that he's at the top of the division. I have severe doubts as to how far he can go. I know I bet against him in the last fight, and possibly the couple of fights when he had a fight with Abril scheduled. So I did bet against him those 2 times to lose, and obviously he didn't face Abril, but Barroso, that fight really did shock me. So I don't know what your thoughts on that are. I know Terry Flanagan they're talking about, but I think for me Terry just boxes his ears off for 12 rounds for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting fight. Flanagan probably I would side to. I see the fight as closer, possibly, than yourself. I could see that fight going either way. Flanagan's another one of these guys who, do you know what? Like, Flanagan's a very good fighter, and he does some great things in there. I'm still not entirely convinced about his resume, though. He had that win against Zarate when Zarate dislocated his shoulder. Then he had the win against Zepeda. Sorry, you're right, Zepeda. Yeah. Then he had the Magdaleno win, and I'm kind of questioning Magdaleno. He's subsequently been released. He come up from the weight class below. And then the Derry Matthews fight, where he was levels above Matthews. But we always knew he was going to be levels above Matthews. And do you know what? Flanagan is a very good fighter. Don't get me wrong. But by the same token, just as I haven't with Crolla, I haven't seen anything from Flanagan at this point that confirms to me he's a Linares or he's someone at that level. I think he is beatable. Whether Crolla's the guy to do it or not, I suspect I'd side with Flanagan in that fight, if I'm honest. Part of me wonders, there's a lot of these names that lightweight, Zlatkanin, Bartholomew, these are very good fighters. I haven't seen much of either of those guys, but these are clearly very, very good fighters. And they're not big draws. They're not big money spinners. And part of me wonders whether Hearn will more go for I know it sounds silly, but Crolla versus Coyle. Crolla versus Luke Campbell. Would he be more inclined to take these big money domestic fights rather than those guys?
Yeah, well, you bring up those two. I mean, Luke Campbell, I think, for me, is not. He's not at that level. I've always said that. I think my opinion on Luke Campbell. I think he's a very, very skilled fighter, but he hasn't transcended his skills properly to the pro ranks. And I think it showed in the Mendy fight. I know he ran Mendy quite close, but for me, he clearly lost that fight. And if he got a gift decision there, it would have. I don't think he would have made the proper adjustments that he probably still needs to make, because we didn't get to see it in the Gary Sykes fight. But I agree with you to an extent with Crolla getting put in with all these domestic guys. But do you know what it is? It's if Eddie can make money regardless and bring less people over, I think that's probably what he's going to do. I know Coyle moved up to 140. I put it in the chat, but I mean, is Coyle versus Crolla a real matchup?
No,
not really. But
not.
You know what I mean? Like Luke Campbell, fair enough. I can understand. He's a Commonwealth champion at the moment, and he's got elite amateur skills. But Coyle, I can't see it, and it begs the question. For me, I think Flanagan gives Linares a good fight. I do think Crolla gives him a good fight as well. I think Linares is slightly overrated, in my opinion, from what I've seen from what I've seen of him in the past, especially. But he's a good fighter. He is a really, really solid operator. He's top 5 at lightweight for sure, definitely. But do you think a peak Kevin Mitchell prior to the Linares fight would it be either Crolla or Flanagan? Just get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, if I'm honest, yeah. I mean, Kevin Mitchell's another one of these hard fighters to sum up, because he's one of these guys with all the talent in the world, but he maybe didn't have that end product at world level. But if I look at a peak Kevin Mitchell, I don't want to go overboard, but there's an element of poetry and motion there. There's an element of elite skills, world class. And even though Crolla and Flanagan are established world champions and Mitchell never got to that level, he looked quality on his day. The other thing I'll say, Jet, just briefly, don't be surprised at all to see a world title fight between Ricky Burns and Tommy Coyle. I sense that is due.
I'm not surprised at all. Did Tommy Coyle call him out after he said Burns is fighting for his 3rd world title? So, and I'm fine at 140 now. I can make both the weights. So that would be an interesting matchup. I mean, look, Burns should not even be getting this chance at world title. He's lucky he's with Eddie and Matchroom to even get this shot. But Tommy getting a world title shot, I mean, listen, he's a European level fighter at best. And this is not me trying to slate him or anything. He's a fantastic fighter in his own right. I wouldn't be able to do the things he's able to do. So I give him and many other fighters, such as Amir Khan, a lot of respect for getting in the ring, a lot of balls. And but for me, Ricky Burns wins against Dirocco. Dirocco is a European level fighter at best. Burns has got, he's still shown he's not completely shot, especially with the Omar Figueroa Jr. fight. Yeah. So I think he'll win the world title, and obviously Adrian Broner's been stripped, so that title is now off the cards. A potential WBA unification is off the cards. The thing is, it's hard to see where Burns goes after this. Is he going to get a couple soft touches in Scotland, or what's going to happen with him after? He's won a world title, but he's got nothing to prove after unless he's fighting for money, which we know he does need. But it's kind of a tough spot. I think a lot of boxers are in that spot now.
That's the thing, though. Ricky Burns is broke, isn't he? So
Yeah.
he's going to have to go. He's going to have to take one of two options. For me, he's going to have to go to the States and sacrifice his belt for a 7-figure payday. So, for example, he could fight Adrian Broner, probably get $1 million and sail off into the sunset. Or the other option is to try and sell out big arenas in Scotland with Burns versus Coyle, Burns versus Cardle, Burns versus, I don't know, Dave Ryan. Those sort of matchups, the ones where you pick Burns to win, but they're going to generate domestic interest and sell tickets,
Yeah, no, they were saying about Willie Limon, weren't they?
Yeah, that's a brilliant shout. Yeah.
Yeah, Tyrone Nurse, and he's fighting for the British title. And obviously, the hardcores will know Limon because he dropped American a couple of years ago. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to see. Like, I don't like to see this where they get a world title at the end. It's kind of like Paul Smith, if I'm honest. Paul Smith got 2 world title shots and a shot against a pound for pound level fighter. And now he's come back in the 6th round and blown the guy out in 3 rounds. And but where does he go from here? Look, Paul Smith seems like a knowledgeable guy when he's on commentary. He does has some really good commentary and stuff. So I like his work. But as a fighter, where does he go from here? He said on IFL, I was watching his interview this afternoon actually, and he said, "I'm back. The hunger's back and that sort of stuff. After the Andre Ward, I wanted to retire, but I took a long rest and that sort of stuff. But where's the hunger? He said he wants a world title shot against. He did say Felix Sturm or De Carolis, but again, he's going for the weakest champion. Is it really worth it for him? Is it just doing it for a payday? I don't know.
I think, yeah. I mean, it was interesting about that Sturm thing. I saw that interview, and that was it. I mean, that shows the power of Eddie Hearn at present, because Paul Smith should be nowhere near another world title fight, and he almost walked straight into one. It's a similar situation with Nathan Cleverly. He was nowhere near the Fonfara fight, but he got it. He was nowhere near the Bramer fight, but it was offered to him. And now it looks like he might get an Andre Ward fight.
Ward fight, yeah.
Eddie Hearn is able to get these big names for his fighters. I could see Smith de Carolis. I could see it. The Sauerland brothers might bring in Smith thinking he would lose. Smith might. I think one of the hunger for Paul Smith, actually, Jet, is I think being around his brothers is very difficult for him. You look at, obviously, Callum Smith is on his route to superstardom. Liam Smith is a world champion. Paul Smith obviously flew out with Stephen Smith to the States for a big world title fight recently. I think he's surrounded by world-class boxing, and he probably feels hard done by. He probably feels hard done by that he believes he beat Abraham. He feels hard done by in the fact that he never had a chance against Andre Ward. It's probably one of those where he's just driven on.
Yeah, no, he brought up Stephen Smith, didn't he? He goes, Stephen Smith might get another shot at the world title as well, because Corrales beat Uchiyama a week or two ago now. So there's potential. I mean, Eddie Hearn, we all said this, we have a go at him and that sort of stuff, that the card was awful. He even said it himself on IFL TV interview. He goes, the card was awful, but I wanted to pay Crolla well because he's facing a legitimate threat and someone who's coming to take his head off. So fair play, he got Crolla some good money as well. But Stephen Smith, obviously, he's nowhere near a world title shot. He's as far as I know, I think he's on the Rocky card, if you want to call it that, the Bellew card.
Yeah.
But he's fighting for his WBC silver super featherweight title, so that might get him towards a mandatory shot. A silver title normally gets a mandatory shot for the WBC, so he might be getting that. But WBA champion, he might get a shot there. And as you said, it shows the power of Eddie Hearn now. He's the biggest promoter in Europe, regardless of whether people like him or don't like him. And it shows the pulling power. It's a massive deal, I think. If anything, it makes the UK boxing scene a lot more interesting, a lot larger, because loads of people you see want to come over here now. Shannon Briggs is coming over here.
Yeah.
Joseph Parker wants to come over here soon. That's just heavyweights, but loads of people want to come over here. Badou Jack said he doesn't mind coming over here to face DeGale. If that fight occurs, is one story within itself, but loads of people actually want to come over here, and that it's kind of changing the US and American central mindset. don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. You know, Eddie Hearn, people will say he's bad for boxing. People will say he's good for boxing. My belief is he's taken it to another level. He really has. And boxing in the UK now is massive. He's highlighted the strength of the market with what he's done with Anthony Joshua. And we're now able, you know, you're spot on. Shannon Briggs wouldn't be coming over to the UK 5 years ago. It just wouldn't be happening. You know, British title fights. Yeah, exactly. You know, he's taken it to another level. And to be honest, I think the market in Britain for boxing is the strongest market in the world. If you consider the population here, you know, look how small we are compared to the States. Yet what? Joshua White did what, 5 times as much as Golovkin Lemieux in the States, you know?
They've probably done the same as Pacquiao Bradley, isn't it? And Pacquiao Bradley have been established at the top level for a long time.
Mate, I've heard bad rumours about those Pacquiao Bradley numbers.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
I reckon Joshua White did more than double that, you know?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I heard one rumour that it was 100 to 150,000.
Yeah.
So I ain't got a clue. And then what they're trying to put Postol versus Crawford on pay-per-view.
That's going to flop horribly. That's going to flop.
That's embarrassing. I mean, Crawford has fought no one of note to make him a pay-per-view star. And I think actually Paul Smith said it. He goes, you need or Eddie Hearn or some, I can't remember, someone said it. I was watching an interview and they go, you need a dance partner now in boxing, and you need that other those opponents to make you a lot of money. And I think Muhammad Ali, our Box Talk, said it, and you need those. Muhammad Ali had about 6 or 7 dance partners that he could make, one, a lot of money and a legacy. We don't have that much nowadays. Obviously, you have Scott Quick, Carl Frampton. They need each other, you know, more than the other people in the division. They're the two that need each other. And you have, you know, very few. There's not that many. There's not many, especially in the UK market. Looking at it from a British perspective. I mean, Khan, Kell, Brook. Will that ever happen? It could be a Junior Witter, Ricky Hatton situation again. So I mean, there's a lot of things there. I mean, as you said, spot on. I totally agree with you that the UK market is thriving. You can make a lot of money on the pay-per-view model over here, and I think that everyone's just seeing what's happening in the UK with Joshua. Obviously now Crolla's going to get some recognition. There's going to be so many other fights getting recognition eventually over time in the next year or two, that more people are going to come over here. So it's good for boxing, I think. Absolutely,
mate. It's exciting times. There's lots and lots and lots of big fights to be made at the minute, which is it's good for us. It's good for our YouTube channels, and it's good for us as fans as well. But yeah, mate, there we are.
Yeah, definitely, man. Listen, I'll get on. I need to do some work. So,
cool, Jet. Enjoy, mate, and look forward to speaking to you again this Wednesday for the podcast, mate.
Yeah, we'll be there, mate.
Yeah, look forward to it. Cheers, Jet.
Okay, take care, bye. See ya.
Thanks very much to Jet for calling in. Got some good callers tonight, actually. So thanks very much to everyone who's called in. And thanks very much to everyone who's been involved in the chat, and to everyone who's watched live. I've enjoyed it. There's been a lot of good topics to discuss tonight, actually, people. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. Guys, I'm going to cut it short there. Done about an hour and a half, and to be honest, I need to get this uploaded and hit the hay. I've got an early start tomorrow, unfortunately. But there we go. If you are in the chat, many thanks for getting involved. Many thanks to everyone who's joined the conversation tonight and who's watched it. If you wouldn't mind, before you shoot off, clicking the thumbs up, hitting the subscribe button, help me build things out. That'd be ridiculous. Bullet Truth says peace. Matt Berry says cheers, Tom. Evening, guys. Hope you guys have a good one. And yeah, thanks very much to everyone indeed for tuning in. Paul says arrivederci, which I believe is Italian for goodbye. Cheers, Paul. Look forward to speaking to you on Wednesday for the podcast, mate. Tom says take care all. Good show. Cheers, mate. Kiwi says over and out. Great stuff. Cheers, Kiwi. Terry says thanks, BG. See you on Wednesday. Thanks, Terry. Look forward to it. Nicholas has missed it tonight, Tom. A little too late. It's going to be up in about half an hour, mate. So you can check it out. But hope to speak to you again next time. YouTube says good show. Cheers, mate. Mikey says great stuff tonight. Look forward to the podcast. Cheers, mate. And Jay Billow says good stuff, Tom. Mate. So thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it all. Hope to catch up with everyone soon. And yeah, I'll leave you guys to it.